Hi there, I'm Danielle Ivins-Fishman from Airmid Wellness and Counseling Center. I'm really excited to be here with Alyssa Martin. She is putting on a beautiful new workshop coming up. She's done several of these. It's what she's most passionate about. It's called Love Yourself and Transform Your Life. It's a 6-week introduction based on the philosophy of Louise Hay. So if any of you have heard of Louise Hay, she's been dear to my heart since I was a teenager. She is just a beautiful woman who has transformed many lives. So Alyssa is here with me. She's going to be talking a little bit about her program, about herself, about what excites her, and I'm going to let her kind of take over a little bit. So hi, Alyssa.
Hi, Danielle. Thanks for
Hi.
having me.
You're very welcome. So I am a huge fan of Louise Hay, and her book has been by my nightstand. And I have to, if I showed it to you, the pages are falling out, going into how I can heal my body and my mind and my heart. So this workshop, you've been doing this a while. First, can I ask you, how did you get into loving Louise Hay and her work?
Louise's work came to me like throughout my life, and I didn't even think about, I didn't get tied to it yet. And then finally, when I was just at a really, everything in my life was changing, and I went to a friend of mine, and we were having like one of those girl talks, those heart to heart talks. And she mentioned Louise Hay to me and said, "Oh, you may want to listen to Hay House Radio." At the time, you could just listen to it
Oh,
on the internet.
yeah.
And I let it play, and I'm getting myself chills right now because
Yes.
it was such a big game changer for me.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that really spoke to me is Louise Hay broke down the steps on how to love yourself. And
Yes.
loving yourself was something I had heard my whole life. Like, oh, well, you need to love yourself before you love someone else. Okay, I hear you, but I don't
Right.
know how that breaks down into my life or why all these people were saying it to me.
Right.
Mostly adults. Like,
Mostly.
yeah. Um,
Yes.
and so what Louise's work did, and especially one of the talks that I heard her give over the internet, was these are the exact things that are not loving to yourself. And
Yeah.
I was heavily practicing a lot of them,
Wonderful.
with guilting myself about things I had done in the past, and even like little things. It was just
Yeah.
a really deep pattern with me to just say, well, that's how I change, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't tell myself I'm wrong all the time. How am I going to do better?
Right.
It was such a mind shift for me to understand that. And the other one was scaring myself with my thoughts, because I had a
Yeah.
lot of anxiety and a lot of panic. And so those two, when I found out that that's what
Yeah.
you're doing, that's not love, it's some of the things you're doing that aren't
Yes.
loving. And then conversely, okay, so what do you do? What
Right.
are the things that are loving and nurturing to yourself? And finding out that it's not conceit, it's not
Yes.
being like pompous and too big for your britches, which is
Yeah.
a lot of the messages that I had heard, and I think a lot of us hear,
Yes.
like be careful if you're real proud, and you're
Yes.
real, that you're gonna fall.
That's
And
right.
but I don't think a lot of the people that are drawn to the message of love yourself more, I don't think we're teetering on that. I think we're more
That's right.
teetering on the other side, which is, again, where I was. And it's more
Yes.
like, okay, let's bring that into balance. But loving yourself more isn't now like this pompous, boastful thing. It's
Yes.
bringing yourself into this balance where you deeply
Yes.
appreciate yourself and deeply value yourself in ways you never even imagined. And the process really of the 6-week workshop is we do a lot with mind, body, spirit, and emotions, because the emotions are the language of the soul. um, we do a lot with all those, and that really sinks you down into just being able to identify the patterns that are keeping you stuck,
Yes.
the thought patterns, as well as we go into some of the behaviors you do. And and what always brought me back to Louise is that
Yes.
when you identify the pattern, it's not like, oh, so that's what you're doing wrong and you better
Right.
change it, Missy, and who do you think you are? It's more
Right.
about, okay, that was serving a need that you
Yeah.
had. Thank that thing, that
Yes.
behavior that you do, that coping mechanism, that thought pattern, whatever it is, thank it for getting you to the point you are now.
Yep.
And you're ready to release it, you're ready to change, and you're ready to grow. And what does that next step look like? And just being open to, um, another thing that just really was like honey to my soul is with
Yes.
Louise's work. It was more about, um, instead of fearing the future and being like, oh shit, what can go wrong, or oh
Right.
crap,
Right.
what can go wrong,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is more about, there's a flow to the
Yes.
universe. And if I can kind of relax into it and say, okay, where
Yeah.
where in the totality of possibilities is the
Yes.
best next place for me, and just kind of sit back
Mm-hmm.
instead of that whole like, ah,
Right.
and just kind of, allow the answers to come to you, and
Yes.
allow life to bring you answers, and to realize that you have most of them within you already. And if
Yes.
you get quiet enough, and if you take the time to really understand again the language of your emotions and what your body is telling you through different, symptoms and things,
Yes.
you really have the whole puzzle within you to be able to figure that out. And so that's what really, that's the long answer
That's a
to how I
that's
found Louise's
perfect.
work.
Yeah, no, and you just went through some of my other questions beautifully. So that was just a great way to understand, first of all, you and your warmth. And I know that those who've attended your groups have just felt so welcome, safe, inspired. So just to give all of that information to everyone, let them know, there's something else that you said. Well, if you could just let us know a little bit more about who this workshop's for. You mentioned that this is for a type of person who actually might be more further on the scale of, doing more for others, doing less for self. They're in no risk of, going out and being what maybe we fear would be narcissistic, or it's like not even a question. So just telling us a little bit more about who you see this workshop being most helpful for.
Yeah, excellent question. Thank you.
Mhm.
Um, like you mentioned, there are a lot of, uh, people, and maybe even more so women, get attracted to
Yeah.
this workshop because you are giving and giving and giving a lot to, whether you have kids or not.
Yeah.
And it could be to a partner, it could be to your job, it could be to,
Yes.
it's just it's a natural tendency to nourish and nurture others. And then it can be this pattern again that
Yes.
really feels good for us, and we get a lot of self-esteem out of it, helping
Yes.
others. And then there comes that point where you feel so depleted,
Yeah.
and what about me? And
Right.
rather than
Right.
having that build up and get to a yucky level of resentment,
Yes.
and cause all kinds of problems in your body and in your
Right.
spirit, um, this is the opportunity to
Right.
do something for yourself, to have the time to yourself, to really sink in and give back to yourself, and figure out what
Yeah.
again, what your next step is, what. And so this workshop is for those, and then also for when there's something in your life that you want to shift. It could
Yeah.
be your job, it could be your relationship.
Yes.
There's just something that you have probably put up with for a good amount of time, and
Yeah.
now are reaching the point where you're really wondering how this can be better, how this can be transformed.
Beautiful.
And, maybe you want more freedom. and more
Yeah.
joy. I think about that when
Yeah.
I think about work. I think about a lot of us wanting more freedom.
Yeah.
Um, and then when I think about relationships, I think a lot of us want, more joy in that, more
Yeah.
ease and more flow of that. And so the other piece of it is that you may be feeling like, or you may have heard the thing about, love yourself just like I had, and self love and self care, and really getting like a nudge from, whether you're just keep hearing it over and over like I did, but that's kind
Yes.
of like a push. Hey, go check this out.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
it could be really beneficial for you. So
Yes.
I know, if you're like I was and you keep hearing that, that may
Yeah.
be a call to check this out as well.
Right. No, that those are very clear things that we can all look at. And I think all of us are going through versions of that. So one thing we talked about before we got on the interview are some of the things that people who are interested in participating can know more about the specifics. So things that they might need, things that they, will be able to enjoy and dig into. So what are some of those things that they'll need to know or have prepared?
Yeah,
Logistics.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, logistic questions. So you will absolutely need the book You Can Heal Your Life by Louise
Okay.
Hay. There are many versions and colors of covers. So whatever one you
Yes.
find, you may find it in the thrift store, you may find it on
Yeah.
Amazon or on onehayhouse.com. Wherever you find it, that's the book, You Can Heal Your Life. And you don't need to read it ahead of time. You're welcome to, but we will be going through chapters 1 through 9.
Okay.
And so those are the foundational principles. And so there are chapters, 10 through the end of the book that get into more specifics.
Okay.
Um, and we'll be going through the foundation 1 through 9. And so the way that looks is you want to attend each week of the workshop. It's 6 weeks, an
Yes.
hour and a half each session, and there'll be about 1 to 2 hours of homework or growth work. Um, you will be experiencing exercises and meditations in the
Mm.
workshop. So it's not a book club where we're coming together to read the chapters.
Yeah.
That's your kind of like your self work. When we
Okay.
come together, what we're doing is we're exploring through the meditations and visualizations, um, through inner child work, affirmations. Absolutely, affirmation
Yeah.
will be used throughout the program if
Oh, yeah.
you're familiar with those. If you're not, that's fine. We'll really go into what it is and how to use it.
Yeah.
Um, and did I mention mirror work, which is a
Oh
favorite
yeah.
these days?
It's a good one. I mean, it's work I've done before, and I think it's been some of the most powerful work. So yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, so we'll do a
Yeah.
lot of different things. You'll get to dabble in a lot of different healing modalities as far as what is part of Louise's philosophy. And then you get to take away, there'll be PDFs of information that you can print out and put in your make a binder or put them in your book. Like you were saying, my book is falling apart too.
Yes.
I have
Yes.
tabs all over it.
I
I always
know.
refer back to that book.
Yes.
So why I'm so passionate about teaching it. And then there'll be inspirational emails throughout, and you're welcome to
Wonderful.
contact me throughout the 6 weeks and let me
Great.
know what's going on and things like that.
Great. That's awesome. Well, it sounds like it's an amazing space for anyone that's looking to transform, take that next step, deepen their love for themselves. Just to end, is there anything that comes to mind that you'd like to share as far as, what's most transformative for you in this work and what you've noticed with other people who have done the workshop with you? Any last thoughts or anything to share?
That's so good. Just so much comes to mind, but I
Yeah.
think that one thing I definitely have noticed is, again, a lot of people that show up are ready to take care of themselves.
Yes.
because they have been taking care of everyone else.
Right.
And they are so kind and generous and giving with everyone else. And now it's time to practice, what does it look
Yes.
like to treat yourself in that same loving way? And
Yes.
really get into the self-talk,
Yes.
because the self-talk, is,
Mm.
it can be pretty harsh, what we will say to ourselves. That's why mirror work is so effective sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
You can really hear what you say to yourself.
Yes.
So and what I would say is that one little tweak, like one little idea that can come from, if you just get one idea from all this that
Yes.
you put into practice, it can have huge dividends. I have seen people take this course and totally take a different career change and just be so much happier. It does produce big changes, I would say.
Wonderful. No, and that's what we're all looking for, especially now with everything that's going on in the world and our lives. So thank you so much. I'm excited for people to hear more about what work you do. And I'm so excited for those that join you in this next workshop. So thank you so much for your time. And how can people reach you if they're interested in reaching you?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome. I am on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. My website is www.alyssaom, so ALYSSAOM.com. You can find me there. You can
Yes.
Google me. I'm around.
Yes. Wonderful. And for the workshop and for any future workshops for Alyssa, you can find that information at www.airmidwellness.com, AIRMID wellness.com. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I look forward to talking to you soon.